You're cruising past a truck stop off I-80 somewhere in Nebraska around midnight. Rows of dark cabs' engines killed not a single light on. Just across the blacktop, a hotel sign glows warm orange in the freezing air. Your first thought: why is that driver sleeping in a cold metal box when a real bed is 30 seconds away? Here's what you're missing. That's not desperation. That's a decision, and once you understand what's actually keeping that cab warm, you'll never look at a parked truck the same way again. What's actually inside the cab? Most people picture a driver crammed behind a steering wheel with a blanket. That picture is wrong. These aren't cramped day trucks making local deliveries. These are long-haul sleepers. Right behind the driver's seat is a literal micro-apartment, a full bunk custom storage, a mini fridge, and enough power to run a TV and laptop. The soundproofing cuts out highway roar better than most apartment walls. For veterans who've spent a decade on the road, this isn't roughing it. It's home. On a February night outside Omaha with wind chill pushing -25, that distinction matters more than you'd think. And once you know what it takes to keep that home livable in winter, the hotel across the street stops making any sense at all. How does the heat stay on? A truck cab in winter isn't just cold, it's a metal box actively trying to kill you. Steel bleeds heat incredibly fast. At -13 degrees Fahrenheit outside Fargo, a cab with nothing running reaches outside temperature in under an hour. You don't shiver your way to hypothermia, you fall asleep first. Kill the engine in a deep freeze and the cabin turns dangerous in under an hour. The obvious fix is to leave the engine idling, except that backfires immediately. Strict anti-idling laws in states like California and New York mean fines after as little as 3 minutes. And even where it's legal, burning a main diesel engine overnight costs close to $1 gallon per hour, thousands of dollars a year, just to stay warm. So engineers built a workaround. Hidden inside the truck's frame is a device no bigger than a shoebox, its own fuel line, its own ignition completely independent from the main engine. A diesel bunk heater. It sips a fraction of what the main engine burns and keeps the cab warm through the night. But veteran drivers rely on it for a reason beyond cost. In a heavy snowstorm, a drift can pack against the exhaust pipe and seal it shut. With nowhere to vent, the idling engine pushes carbon monoxide straight back into the cab. Drivers have died this way in their sleep. The bunk heater eliminates that risk entirely because it draws fresh air from a separate protected intake. That one engineering detail is the difference between waking up and not. Most drivers keep a carbon monoxide detector clipped above the bunk anyway, not because they don't trust the heater, because they've heard the stories. Before that heater sparks to life, there's one more thing: drivers handle the fuel itself. Below -13 degrees, Fahrenheit standard diesel begins to gel, wax crystals form, and choke the lines. Drivers pour an anti-gel additive into the tank before temperatures fall. A quiet routine most only learn after one very bad night. So far, you know what's keeping a driver alive at -30, but why is he sleeping in that cab at all? Why doesn't he just walk across the street and check into any hotel? And what's actually stopping him from doing something that simple? The answers come down to systems most people never knew existed. Why can't he just check into a hotel? We're still answering the same question from the beginning. How does a driver sleep comfortably at -30? And why is a warm hotel 30 seconds away? Not part of that answer. 2 reasons, and neither one is money. First, physics. A fully loaded semi stretches nearly 70 feet long. Hotel driveways are built for sedans. The truck physically cannot fit. Second, federal law. Commercial drivers are capped at 11 hours behind the wheel before a mandatory 10 consecutive hours of rest, every minute tracked by an ELD hardwired into the engine. When that rest window starts, the truck stays exactly where it is. The driver isn't stuck. The system just never built a door in that direction, and most drivers stopped looking for one a long time ago. Even if every obstacle disappeared, most experienced drivers still wouldn't go. From the moment that driver picked up a loaded trailer, electronics, pharmaceuticals, frozen food, they became legally responsible for every minute of that cargo until delivery. Cargo theft in the United States runs into the tens of billions every year. Professional thieves monitor specific truck stops and know exactly how long a rest window lasts. An empty cab isn't a parked truck. It's an open invitation. Along monitored corridors like I-70 through Kansas and Missouri, professional cargo thieves don't improvise. They plan around rest schedules the way a surgeon plans around shift changes. Sleeping in the cab is a custody decision. The driver is 30 feet from the load, and that proximity is the point. Where this connects to your life. You've been living closer to this technology than you think. You just never had a reason to notice it. That little heater box tucked into a truck frame, versions of the same Webasto and Eberspacher systems, heat military vehicles in the Arctic crew quarters, on offshore supply vessels, and sleeper cars on long-distance passenger trains. The engineering problem, keeping a person alive in a sealed metal space in extreme cold without running a main engine, turns out to be universal. It just gets solved quietly out of sight in the things that move while you sleep. The shoebox in the truck frame, the heating unit under the train seat. The same problem solved the same way, hiding in plain sight for decades. Why diesel and not anything else? You've seen the whole system now, and every single piece of it runs on the same fuel. That's not coincidence. That's engineering making a decision and sticking with it. Think about what diesel actually has to do in this context. It has to start a cold engine on a January morning in Billings when the temperature hasn't been above zero in a week. It has to pull 80,000 pounds up a wet grade on I-70 without losing power halfway through. And it has to keep a shoebox-sized heater running quietly for 8 hours while a driver sleeps, burning so little that the tank barely notices. No other fuel does all three. Gasoline runs cleaner and faster, but it's built for speed, and light loads not for hauling weight at low speed in conditions that would stop most engines cold. Diesel is denser, which means more energy packed into every gallon, and it delivers its power low and slow, exactly where a heavy truck needs it most. The bunk heater isn't diesel-powered because it's convenient. It's diesel-powered because the truck already has a tank of the most energy-dense, cold-weather reliable fuel available, and tapping into that same line is simply the most logical thing an engineer could do. One fuel, the whole system runs on it. From the moment that Peterbilt rolls out of the yard in Chicago to the moment it parks outside a warehouse in Phoenix 3 days later, diesel is the only thing that never gets swapped out. And the next time you pull into a gas station and see a truck driver at the diesel pump, you'll know exactly why that nozzle is a different color. If there's something you walk past every day and wonder about, drop it in the comments. We read every single one, and the best suggestions make it into future videos. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next.